All right, Mike Heck here from MMAfighting.com, reacting to some breaking news on this Tuesday. Ladies and gentlemen, it's officially official. Platinum Mike Perry, the face of BKFC, the face of bare knuckle boxing, former UFC welterweight. He gets his wish. A couple of years in the making. He will face Jake Paul in a boxing match July 20th, Tampa, Florida, Amalie Arena, the home of the Tampa Bay Lightning NHL team. 8 rounds, cruiserweight fight. Of course, this is the original date for Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. The fight rebooked for November 15th at AT&T Stadium, but Jake Paul is going to take this fight first. And speaking of November 15th, Amanda Serrano will face Katie Taylor in a rematch on that November 15th card. But before that happens, Amanda Serrano is going to fight July 20th as well. She will face Stevie Morgan, a top 10 fighter who just happens to be from the Tampa area as well. Tickets will go on sale tomorrow as we speak with you for that event. The fight will stream on DAZN pay-per-view. No further details in regards to how much it's going to cost, etc., but those details are expected to be announced later. So before we get to my co-host in this venture, quick timeline on how all of this came together, how it got on my radar, etc., because news came out pretty quickly. Around a week ago, actually, let me look at it, literally a week ago, from like right this moment, I get a text message on my phone from a random phone number. It is completely out of the blue. I do not know who this person is. In fact, in my second text back to this person, I said, "Who is this?" They would not reveal who it was. And the text says simply and essentially, Jake Paul versus Mike Perry happening July 20th. And of course, we got to do our due diligence. We got to speak with people. We got to ask around, make sure this is legit. A few hours later, the Twitter account Happy Punch reports that the fight is a done deal. And if you listen to our programming, watch BTL, listen to Heck of a Morning, Thursday and Friday. When I spoke about this fight, when I was asked about this fight, I said, look, it's not on MMAfighting.com yet, and there's a reason for that. And the reason was it was not a done deal. It was being discussed. Initially, I was told Jake really wanted to stay on that July 20th date, trying to figure out venues, trying to figure out opponents. Mike Perry was an option, but there were other options on the table as well. And based on the conversations I had, Mike Perry seemed like the front runner at that time. But 7 days ago, I was told 50-50 that this fight would happen on July 20th. And then more time goes by. Days go by. Not much changed. More time. No change. And then yesterday, I start to hear rumblings about a shift in momentum one way or the other. Came around 6 p.m. Eastern time yesterday evening. Get a phone call. Find out. Fight is signed, sealed, and delivered July 20th. Fight was going to be announced today around noon Eastern time. It was going to be at Amalie Arena in Tampa. Same venue where Jake Paul knocked out Tyron Woodley in their rematch. So Jake Paul taking a little bit of a risk here. Good for Mike Perry. He's going to get himself a big bag of money. Amanda Serrano is going to stay busy as well. And we're going to stay busy here because joining me to react to this news, the incomparable New York Rick. Wow, what a treat. On a Tuesday. Hey, Mike. How are we doing, New York Rick? Your reaction to this news, Jake Paul versus Mike Perry in a boxing match, and it's coming in around a month's time.
It's a Jake Paul fight that I want to see. It's a Jake Paul fight that I want to see. I've never understood the I want to fight real boxers thing. I'm not interested in it. Don't care about Jake Paul's prospects as a quote unquote real boxer or chasing boxing titles or whatever version of that he's currently espousing. This is what I want to see. I want to see Jake Paul. By the way, I'm still semi interested in the Mike Tyson fight, although I've really kind of soured and become lukewarm on it. But these are the types of fights that I want to see from Jake Paul. I love it. I respect the hell out of it. I'll be honest. Like, you know, there's been a progression with Jake Paul, right? I think there's something to kind of pick apart in some of Jake Paul's opponents in one degree or another, right? With Tyron Woodley, he's been called the frozen one, and there's been a lack of throwing and activity, and so you could criticize that. With Anderson Silva, he's always been this mercurial kind of like mysterious guy who sometimes lets his foot off the gas and plays around and things like that. Ben Askren, not a striker, and on and on and on. With Mike Perry, you know you are getting somebody who is going to press the action on Jake Paul, who is going to be in his face and be trying to take his head off. Is he the most technical boxer we've ever seen? No. But is he technical enough? Yes. And is he somebody who is going to pressure Jake Paul in a way that he has not been pressured before? Yes. And so I'm interested in the fight, and I respect Jake Paul for taking it. I got to be honest. I respect Jake Paul for taking this fight.
Especially with the Tyson fight still on the books,
Yes.
because the way it was sort of explained to me, and then it sort of read that it without actually saying it in the press release, was that Jake's essentially putting his spot against Mike Tyson on the line here against Mike Perry. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily what's really in play here, but it's worded and it's being described to be to some sense. So I guess what I'm asking you in regards to this Tyson fight, what if Jake loses? Does it change anything? Does it pique your interest in the Tyson fight? Does it do anything for it at all? Do you think it changes anything?
Throughout this journey, where there have been several check-in points, and I've been asked many times on the MMA Hour by Ariel Helwani and elsewhere, what happens if Jake Paul loses? You know what happens if Jake Paul loses? Not a goddamn thing. There's nothing that happens when Jake Paul loses. He exists outside of wins and losses, and why I'm more fascinated in fights like this than true quote-unquote boxing fights, quote-unquote real boxers. Because there are no stakes with Jake Paul. There is no stake. There are no stakes. He will continue to do what he's going to do no matter if he wins or loses. If he loses his fight, I'm very confident that he will still try to put together a fight against Mike Tyson on Netflix. If there were true stakes, if there was something on the line here, if Jake Paul was at risk of losing the Mike Tyson fight, then if he loses, Mike Perry should be the one fighting Mike Tyson. I can assure you that neither of those, that is not happening. That outcome is not happening. So Jake Paul is going to win or lose, and he's going to fight Mike Tyson next. That is just what's going to happen. I still care about this fight, though. I don't think Jake Paul requires the kind of stakes that they're trying to present, nor do I think that those stakes are realistic. But I don't think you need this to be like, man, the Mike Tyson fight is on the line. I don't care about that. I want to see Mike Perry versus Jake Paul. This fight is good enough on its own. I care about this fight. I want to see Jake Paul pressed by somebody as aggressive and willing to throw as Mike Perry. So I don't care. I don't care about the Mike Tyson fight kind of like dangling out there as if it will or will not happen based on the outcome of this fight. Don't think that's true, nor do I care. I love Jake Paul versus Mike Perry enough that I don't care about what the outcome of the Mike Tyson fight is.
I think I agree with you, and I think there's a lot of people who will also agree with you on that, New York Rick. So if this isn't like a sort of money in the bank fight where the Mike Tyson contract is dangling and 10 feet in the air and you have to climb the ladder over the defenseless body of your opponent to climb the ladder and grab this contract. If Mike Perry goes out there and just busts up Jake Paul, whether it's for the entire 8 rounds or he goes out there and finishes him, just pressures him and beats him and finishes him, like, where does Mike Perry go from here? He's already the face of BKFC. He's already got some great wins over some big names. He's taken the company and the sport in general to all these new levels. But if he goes into this boxing match, this is like a legit boxing match because he has the Michael Seals win, but that was like the sort of weird triad combat hybrid rules thing. If he goes in there with 10-ounce gloves and just beats the shit out of Jake Paul and wins this fight, what does this do for him? Because I'm with you. I don't think he gets the Mike Tyson fight, nor would I really want to see that. But where would a win like this, what does that do for Mike Perry?
It would be massive. It would be massive. It'd be by far the biggest platform and biggest win of Mike Perry's career because he finally is in an opportunity where, you know, there's a big draw opposite of him, and he's able to say, I have a win over that guy. One of the things that I would hope, like he seems to have found a very, very nice lane as like kind of the best prize fighter, for lack of a better term. That might be the best definition of it, but the best prize fighter outside of the UFC or big boxing matches. He exists in this kind of like in between world, this nether region where he is putting on these fights and people are interested and people are in the cult of Mike Perry. But this is an opportunity to kind of cross over beyond that. And I think this would be something that he'd be able to capitalize on in a major way, to be able to dangle out there. I ended this Jake Paul thing, and now I don't think it would end, if I'm being honest, but I've put a stamp, I've put a stop to this Jake Paul boxing thing. I destroyed him. What's next for me? I'm only looking out for bigger and better opportunities. And I think there are bigger and better opportunities on the horizon. It puts him in a category where he can start calling for some of the fights that Jake Paul is able to call for. Now, will he have the cachet? Will he be able to cash in on that? Will he be able to capitalize on that in the way that Jake Paul is? Probably not. But it allows him entry into that club. It opens a door for him that I think was previously closed, where he's, as I said, like, he kind of exists in his own like little Mike Perry universe. And people are coming into BKFC to fight him. I think now he can kind of go outside that, and it would be a big opportunity for him there. Will he be able to ultimately like turn it into what Jake Paul could with a win? Probably not. But I think it gives him an additional credibility and an additional opportunity that he would not have been afforded just remaining the guy who beats the crap out of everybody in BKFC.
So just saw an interesting tweet from Luke Thomas, and I thought about this, but I didn't have time to really go through it. Luke says, at 32 years of age, Mike Perry will be the youngest former MMA fighter Jake Paul has faced. Previous MMA opponents when Paul fought them: Nate Diaz, 38, Anderson Silva, 47, Tyron Woodley, 39, Ben Askren, 36. So for all the, I mean, you're always going to be able to poke holes in all of this stuff, right? Like, Jake's still going to be younger, not by much. He's still going to be bigger, a little bit bigger than Mike Perry. So, I mean, you can poke and prod a little bit there. Does this kind of take away some of those other criticisms? Oh, you're just beating up the old guard, the guys who aren't active, they're way past their prime. Does this answer some of those questions? I know you're pumped for this one, but do you think some of those questions will still arise, or do you think this is going to be a good, clean build?
It's a legitimate question, truly. As I said earlier, like when I was first kind of opening my thoughts, I think this has the least holes. I think this has the least questions that can be asked, right? With the ages, you have a built-in thing, right? The fighters from MMA and from elsewhere that Jake Paul have been fighting have been on the older side. But also, as I said, like, Anderson Silva has always been somebody who's been lower activity. Same, Ben Askren's not a striker. Tyron Woodley, somebody who's been low volume, lower activity. In Mike Perry, you have somebody who is going to press the action. You have somebody who is going to fight Jake Paul in his prime, right? For all intents and purposes, ostensibly, we believe that Mike Perry is in his prime right now. The results would show that. And I don't have holes here. I don't have things to question with Jake Paul. I don't care about him fighting like the most technical boxer because, one, I don't think that would be the fight that would bring the credibility to Jake Paul that he needs. I don't think he needs credibility in terms of being able to be a technical world-class boxer because I don't think he'll ever achieve that. What he needs is somebody who's going to fight him, and Mike Perry is going to fight him. Mike Perry is going to fight him, guaranteed. That is what you are ensuring in this fight. And so I can only speak for me personally. I think it will answer questions for me. If he can withstand what Mike Perry is going to bring to him and win that, I would be impressed. I do think there is a world out there where if Mike Perry just comes out and blows the doors off Jake Paul, everybody goes, yeah, that's what I thought would happen. And there would be some who would be feeling that and be correct. And there would be some, I think, with the benefit of hindsight, would be saying that. It would be a little bit disingenuous because I don't think this is an automatic Mike Perry blows the doors off him. That's why I'm intrigued by this fight. I want to see what happens when Mike Perry and Jake Paul fight. It's why I care about this fight from a fight perspective, much more so than like the pomp and circumstance or the attention or the notoriety that would come with a Netflix and will come with a Mike Tyson fight or even come with some of his past opponents, right? Make no mistake, Anderson Silva and Nate Diaz are bigger names than Mike Perry. So this feels like the sweet spot for me. This feels like where I care about the fight from a fight perspective, and it will answer questions for me, and I will respect Jake Paul for first taking the fight, and if he can even win the fight, I would respect him even more. There will be some who will still try to poke holes. There will be some who will say, if Mike Perry blows him up, or if Mike Perry just comes in there and walks through Jake Paul, they'll say, that's what I expected. Jake Paul stinks. He's not a real boxer. But to me, I want to know the answer to that, and I respect Jake Paul for taking this fight.
Completely agree with everything you just said. And this fight's going to do so much for Mike Perry too, because this whole new universe, I mean, obviously Jake's got a ton of fans. Jake's got a big following. There's probably 3% of that following who has any idea who Mike Perry is, but they're going to know Mike Perry real quick in this one, because yes, you mentioned Ben Askren, and Ben talked a lot of greasiness, but I don't think anyone truly believed Ben was going to win that fight. The Woodley fights were kind of interesting, and Woodley would say some fun things. Anderson Silva just incredibly respectful, almost like disarmed Jake in a lot of respects, where that trash talk, the build, he might say, I'm gonna F him up, Ariel, but at the same token, they're just smiling, having a good time. And then even with Nate, like Nate is just kind of a real dude, and Jake tried to get that out of Nate, and there were moments that things got a little intense, but Nate's not going to sit there and have a back and forth on the microphone with Jake Paul. It's just not his style. Mike Perry is going to do all of those things and more. So I think, win or lose, this is going to be so beneficial for Mike because he's going to introduce himself to an entirely different audience. This version, this Daddy Perry, happy, married, the family man Mike Perry, but still a dog and is still incredibly entertaining as a speaker and as a promoter of his own fights. He's going to get a lot of fanfare out of this. He's going to get his audience is going to increase tenfold. This is brilliant all around for absolutely everybody. So we're 32 days away, New York, Rick. And I mean, is this the kind of fight you make a prediction for, or you just kind of sit back and enjoy the ride here?
To me, this does not feel like the type of fight you make a prediction for, just because, and I'll make a prediction. Look, I don't care. Like, ultimately, I've made so many predictions over the course of the time I've been on camera here for this sport, and nobody's really taken me to task or held me accountable for anything. So I'm not exactly terrified to make one. But the reason I say it doesn't feel like a prediction type thing is because we really don't know with Jake Paul. Like, every time I kind of feel like I have a sense of where he is, he's a little bit different than what I thought. Like, he's either a little bit better or a little bit tougher or a little bit more advanced in his boxing, or maybe even not where I thought he might be. Like, I thought he would be better potentially in the Nate Diaz fight, and he didn't look all that spectacular. I wasn't like overly impressed. Whereas in previous fights, I kind of thought, he's taking a step up. I'm not reading much into his last two, I'll tell you that, because like, he was in there with tomato cans. I don't care if they were quote unquote real boxers. Those guys were not there to fight. And so I don't know. I really don't know what to make of Jake Paul. And so I'm fascinated to see what will happen. Ultimately, I think we'll know by the end of it the level of toughness of Jake Paul, no doubt. And to me, he has proven toughness in his past fights, and I've been pretty impressed in that regard. And so it will really come down to like, how far is he advanced as a technical boxer? He is somebody with a lot of resources who puts his full effort and energy into training as a boxer. When you have that, he's got a leg up on people who are at similar levels in their career, right? People with similar boxing records to Jake Paul don't often have those level of resources. They're often scraping by. It's kind of a pull yourself up by the bootstraps type sport. And so he can shorten the curve on how long it takes to get good at boxing. And so I just want to see where he's at, and I'm not sure where he's at, truthfully. Like, the last two fights have told me nothing. And so I'm fascinated to see where he's at. If you hold my feet to the fire right now and you tell me I have to pick, I'm picking Mike Perry, no doubt. Like, there's not a doubt in my mind that I think Mike Perry is going to pressure him, and that's going to be tough to deal with for anybody. Professional fighter, professional boxer, professional MMA fighter, professional bare knuckle fighter, amateur fighter, somebody on the street. When Mike Perry gets in your face, that is a problem for you. That is a real problem for you. And so I'm going to pick Mike Perry just on the basis of that alone. But I don't think it's out of the question where there's a world where Jake Paul has dedicated enough time and money into the best possible training that he can have, and he's just a better boxer than Mike Perry. I don't think that's out of the question at all. I think there's a real world where that's a possible outcome. And so I'm fascinated to see which outcome is true. But feet to the fire right now. Hey, you have to pick. I'm picking Mike Perry.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to pick in that scenario. Right now, betting odds, opening lines, at least from what I could find, Jake Paul minus 275, comeback of Mike Perry plus 200. There you go. If you're feeling the Mike Perry vibes, go ahead and take a shot at plus 200. Let's bring in E. Casey Leiden. I think we'll take a couple questions from the people if they have some. What do you think about all this, Casey? You excited? You fired up? Jake Paul, Mike Perry?
Can you start with where you were at in the Jake Paul whole thing even before this fight? Like, I kind of want to know where your starting point is and then like where you are now.
Well, I did think Ben Askren was going to beat Jake Paul. Let me just say that. That's how low I started on the Jake Paul story. And then my next realization was, oh, there's two of them. Jake Paul and Logan Paul are different people. So it was a lot of things I had to learn. But once I figured, oh, Jake Paul can't. It was the Tyron Woodley fight. I think, was that the first one? Or was that the second one? I can't remember which one he got knocked. I don't know. I can't remember which one I was at. I was at Anderson Silva.
The first one was the one where he got rocked by Woodley.
Okay, I was at the first one, and I was at the Anderson Silva one. So those are the ones I've seen live. Dude, I love the Jake Paul spectacle. The boxing, as far as like boxing as a sport, whatever, the spectacle is awesome. I was very interested in the Mike Tyson fight, mostly because of the spectacle. I wanted to see what it was gonna be like, just being on Netflix and in a freaking football stadium, just insane. And obviously getting a chance to see Serrano, Katie Taylor have been amazing too, because I wasn't there for the first one, but I just heard great things about it. So, I like this fight. That's all. I like it. This is much like, for me, this is much like Pereira Yeri, in the sense that I like it better than Conor Chandler. I like this new fight better. I get it's not as big, just like, of course, it's not as big as like Conor Chandler, of course, bigger than Yeri Pereira, but as a hardcore, this is actually a fight I want to see. So that makes sense.
Would this give you the most respect out of Jake Paul's past fights and opponents and things like that? Would this make you respect him the most?
There's still the size issue. He still has a solid 20, 25 pounds on Mike Perry, and he's going to be a little longer and everything. But yeah, it's a tough fight. It's risky. Mainly, I'm picking Jake Paul to win. I think I'm a little different. I'm picking Jake because size matters. And but I do respect the risk, and I do respect just staying active, being out there, keep on doing the thing. I kind of said this about Chandler. Like, Chandler, take a fight and then keep on fight Conor next. Win that fight and then fight Conor next. Sorry to bring Conor into this, but in that sense, I think you should stay active. And I like what Jake Paul is doing. He's staying active because, this is you can only do this for so long, and who knows when this just all goes away for him. Either the interest or he just loses. Mike Tyson knocks him out or whatever. So just keep doing it and have confidence and keep going out there and get people talking. And we are talking. And like I said, I did not care about the Jake Paul story when it started. I'm here. I'm here for it now.
Yeah, I went and covered the I was at the second Woodley fight, which was crazy. I was at the Nate one, which was ridiculous. I even went and covered the Andre August fight in December. And even that was like, in its own weird way, like its own little spectacle. We all knew it was going to happen. We all knew the result was automatic. He was just going to clip this dude in the first round, especially when you saw all the nervous energy surrounding Andre August. But there's just an aura and a weird feeling in the air when Jake fights. Like, no matter who it is, it's just there. It is just there, whether it's in an 18,000 seat arena or, in case of the Andre August fight, like in a hotel ballroom that seats like 2,000 people. There's just something about it. The energy levels, it's just a different thing that we're getting with the UFC, and even a lot of respects with all the Apex cards and all that stuff. It's just a different thing going on in the combat sports world. So
I'm glad
I love this fight. Good for Mike Perry, man. Good for Mike Perry.
Eric, have you seen Jake Paul live at a live event, or has it all just been watching through screens?
I was in Dallas. I saw the Nate Diaz fight.
Oh, you saw? Okay. God, I can't remember if I've seen so many freaking fights. I can't remember if I was there or not. No, I don't think I was at the Nate.
No, you weren't at any. The iconic voice was there. The iconic voice was in Dallas.
That's what happens. She goes to all these events, so I kind of just live vicariously through her. So I'm like, oh yeah, I was there. I think you're right.
Dude, that place was electric for that fight. When Nate Diaz came out, it was like, oh my God. There was not an empty seat in that building. And that's a big building. Mm-hmm. The AAC is a huge arena. And that place was like, from Jump Street, from like the first fight, that place was pretty full. And then as the night progressed, it was just, the energy levels just got more and more insane.
And that's what something I think about it, that's what I think this fight, even if you're not excited right now, when they start talking smack, the press conference, the weigh-in, everything, man, I guarantee all of us, including me, are going to be freaking hyped on Saturday night when they walk out. It's just Jake Paul brings that out, and Mike Perry brings that out too, and this is awesome. I really like it. I don't care who wins. Like I said, I don't care who wins. It's just like watching a good action movie. You just want to be entertained. I feel like we just want to be entertained and hope it's we just hope we get the best out of both of them.
Jake Paul brings that out when he's not fighting quote unquote real boxers. Enough of the quote unquote real boxers. We can leave those behind. More Mike Perry, even more Mike Tyson. I say cautiously and hesitantly, even though I'm less happy about that as I was before. But yes, I think they nailed this.
I did a poll. I did a poll. I asked our fans, what is the better fight? Paul versus Tyson, Paul versus Perry, or are they both equally awesome, or do they both equally suck?
There's so many options.
Well, I gotta ask.
I love it. I love it.
So, equally suck and equally awesome are in last place at 8%.
Okay.
10% liked Paul over Tyson, and 75% of you think this is the best fight, Paul versus Perry. So, for the hardcore fans, for our people, this should be a good day. So,
it's a good sign.
That's a very good sign for the people who are interested in getting MMA, boxing, combat sports fans in the tent. Mike Perry has that. Mike Perry is not Jake Paul. Mike Perry does not have nearly the audience that Jake Paul has. But what Mike Perry does have is a very dedicated audience. People who mess with Mike Perry mess with Mike Perry hard. And they will come and watch the fights. And they come to BKFC. And now he's getting an opportunity against Jake Paul on his own. They will come and they will watch this fight. You're getting those people no matter what. And then Jake Paul has his tribe. He has his audience. So it's gonna be an event. I'm excited about it.
Yeah. Hey, and just thinking positive here. I hate bringing the Conor thing up, but like Nate won. Late notice fight. Nate was already a star, but then that fight made Nate a superstar. And right now, Mike Perry's a star. Maybe, who knows, if this fight just turns out I don't know, just the fight maybe that we hope for, Mike Perry could get that next level jump. So, who knows?
Dude, because even like if something happens with Tyson along the way, if Mike Perry somehow wins and it's like a good bloody battle,
the rematch,
and something happens to Tyson, you could do the rematch instead. Like you could just slide Perry in there and it'll be fine. Like we know, I don't know if they'll sell 100,000 tickets for a rematch, but they sold out the AAC. This one will probably sell out too, even though it's a month's notice. So I think Perry's going to get a lot of fans from this. I think people are going to see how it is. And
it could be a crazy shift in just influencer boxing, if you want to call it that, with Perry has a great, not even a great victory, just a great performance. I don't think he has to win. If it's just a great performance, then I don't know. Just Mike Perry's life could change big time. Obviously, he's getting a giant paycheck for this, but everything could change. So
well, it just opens up. Like KSI gets on the table now. Logan Paul gets on the table now. It just like he can roll on this for a while if he's able to capitalize on it. So congratulations to Mike.
Yeah,
might need to do swing rounds part 2 before this fight.
All right, oops, wrong one. Sorry. All right. Just got a few. Just no real questions. Just a lot of comments.
Okay, let's see.
Let's see what we got. True, Rick. First Jake Paul fight I've wanted to see. There you go.
I think there will be a lot of people like that out there that are just like, I care about this one, and I just haven't in the past.
Perry gonna make it a effing fight for sure. I think so, Keith. I think so. Like, I don't think that fight's going to be boring at all. So it's going to be great. Perry, fantastic bare knuckle fighter, but the gloves give the edge to Paul.
I could see it. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. Casey's picking him on the boxing and the size difference.
And if it was bare knuckle, I would be picking Perry, but it is not.
Of course.
Yeah.
Jake going to sleep. He's finally going to go in with the real one, a dog. Tamsy, shout out. MJ Enough said Jake Paul has everything to lose here. Perry's everything to gain, win, loss, money, and fame out the ass. Yeah. Is this house money for Perry?
Yes. No matter what happens here, it was worth the shot, right? You get an opportunity to fight Jake Paul, you take the shot and you do whatever it takes. I just don't. I get it. I understand the quote unquote risk of this fight, right? Because the Mike Tyson thing is dangling out there. I don't think he has a lot to lose here. I think this is why Jake Paul, I think, and Nikisa Badarian also deserve some credit here, is just kind of smart. Like, they take calculated risks. I don't think this is as big a risk as it would appear on first blush, on first glance, where you go, oh man, he's about to fight Mike Perry before he's going to fight Mike Tyson. He's going to fight Mike Tyson no matter what. There's not a lot of risk here. It's just smart. But as I said, I don't care about the risk. I don't care about what's at stake, because I just want to see the fight. I really don't care about like what's after this. I'm excited about July 20th. I really don't care about November at this point. I just want to see them fight.
Hell yeah, happy for Mike Perry. Deserves his payday. Yeah,
He's been chasing this one for a minute. He's been calling out Jake Paul and also seeming like maybe he's going to fight Jake Paul for forever. I'm glad he's finally getting the opportunity.
And I'm assuming, I don't know if you know, Mike, but this will be Mike Perry's by far biggest payday.
It should be.
Should be.
He's doing pretty damn well at BKFC,
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm sure this will be his biggest payday.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah. Well, one thing he had working in his favor is obviously they proposed, right, for him to fight on the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson undercard. And so now he knows what the price for that is. Now he's in the headline spot versus Jake Paul. You got a nice little room for growth in terms of your payday there. Now that you know what the undercard price is. Yesterday's price
got
was
good
not
management
today's
too,
price
man.
for Mike
He's
Perry.
got good management.
He does. He does.
Those cows don't mess around. You give them, a little blood in the water, they go right after it, and that's what makes them very good at what they do.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I guess BKFC deserves a little credit here for, I guess, lending their fighter out, right? Am I? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they would be kind of like.
Well, I mean,
unless
they could see it as like, well, if he gets knocked out, we're gonna lose our value. So, but they don't see it that way. So it was just.
Unless I'm mistaken, he has it in his contract, right? Mike, maybe you'd know better than this, but I believe he's alluded to this at times that they can't prevent him from taking opportunities. He does need to like clear with them, but I don't think he's able to be like specifically prevented from taking opportunities like this in boxing. And so some of it is, yes, to their credit, like even coming up with a deal structured that way, right? Like with the understanding like, hey, Mike Perry's a guy who is going to be great for us, and he has been, and it's been a really fruitful relationship for both him and BKFC, but also like, hey, it only helps us if he's elevating our brand. If he knocks out Jake Paul, looks better for us. We've got the guy who knocked out Jake Paul. So I think they're very smart and shrewd in that regard. I don't know if they have the power. I think I've heard him or Feldman speak on it before, where like this is understood that he's able to do this. But yeah, smart on both parties. They have done this perfectly, and I think the BKFC arrangement has helped both of them in a major way.
This is kind of a big what if question, but like, imagine if the UFC gave this type of freedom to their fighters, where they could go, they would. It's not once in a blue moon like Conor and Floyd, but like if Jay could pick any fighter that's available right now, would Mike Perry still be that guy, or if he had anyone in the UFC roster, not Conor, of course, because that's just kind of ridiculous, or is Perry still the guy who, despite if he had everyone, because it still seems like a perfect fight.
I think Jake would take a shot at a UFC fighter just for the opportunity to potentially damage the UFC's or the UFC's brand and be able to say, I've got to win over that guy in the UFC. I think Perry is probably like one of the better stylistic fights I'd care about seeing. But if I was Jake Paul, I would want the opportunity to diminish the UFC's brand by saying like, I beat this guy, and maybe a champion. You call out a champion if you have your druthers. So I think Jake would jump at that.
Yeah. I wish, just.
Well, here's what's also going to be like super interesting about all of this. Mike Perry has the chance to and I actually think Mike will be fine here, but all of these guys that have taken these shots, whether it's Woodley or even Anderson Silva or even Conor going up to fight Floyd, some have like returned, but Connor's never been the same since the Floyd fight. Anderson's just kind of been boxing. Tyron hasn't fought since getting knocked out by Jake Paul. This Mike Perry, Francis Ngannou has two boxing matches, has yet to fight MMA. And I understand at this point in time, he's got a ton of stuff going on. Like Mike Perry could be the dude to just go in there, box Jake Paul, and then 3 months later go back to BKFC and fight somebody in a huge ass fight. We haven't seen any of these guys do that, but I kind of feel like Mike could be the dude that sort of changes the narrative of all of that, where it's like, instead of being, well, do you think they'll ever go back to MMA after boxing? It's like, yeah, look what Mike Perry did. He went right back to BKFC after boxing Jake Paul. So
he could,
very
or
curious to see how this plays out.
Fight KSI and Logan Paul and Dylan Dennis in boxing, and he could never return to BKFC. So I don't.
That's an interesting part of this too.
I don't know that he necessarily does that. I would suspect that he does. I just, again, like, there's good options, but there's limited options out there, right? It's kind of the same kind of recycled names that we talk about. There's the KSI, there's the Logan Paul, there's the Jake Paul. Maybe now you start looking at Anderson Silva and other names that like have been past Jake Paul opponents. Nate Diaz versus Mike Perry, that would sell, I'm sure. And so you start thinking about stuff like that. But there is a finite number of names out there. I have no interest in like Mike Perry versus Tommy Fury, please. Like I'd rather like drag my tongue through a field of razor blades than watch that. So there's limited options. So yeah, I imagine that he'll still remain like active in BKFC. Hell, who knows? Maybe he'll fight an MMA fight. You know, there's all kinds of like opportunities out there for Perry. And I think to your point, it's kind of more just he's in his prime. Now, Connor was in his prime, but that prime was short-lived after that. And once he made that amount of money, it was very difficult to kind of readjust, recalibrate for what the Conor McGregor experience was. But yeah, you're right. I think Mike Perry has a real opportunity to kind of just show, I took this payday, but I'm still the mercenary who's out here taking fights in whatever is possible and making the biggest fights. So I am interested to see his next step.
Cool. And just a couple more comments.
Alfonso, I'm rooting for Platinum, but he's used to 5 rounds. If Jake can survive Perry's aggressive and tenacious approach to the first 5 rounds, I see Jake eking out a decision. Yeah, I mean, Jake's a big minus 275 favorite to open, so I think those are probably pretty spot on odds. I think that's lined up perfect.
I have a feeling Mike Perry has trained boxing rounds before. Just my hunch, just my guess that Mike Perry has done a few boxing length fights in the gym. And Jake is going to be the bigger man. Jake is going to be the one carrying the bigger weight. And so, yes, he is a boxer and has gone the distance before, and we've seen it. But I don't know if the cardio edge is going to go to Jake over Mike Perry. I would expect that Mike will be around if it goes into the later rounds.
Yeah, he's just a dog, man. That dude, like, I don't even know if like cardio is even a part of this conversation with Mike. Because he just doesn't go away. Even if he does get tired, he's still going to keep going in there and swinging his ass off. So,
is it 8 rounds?
Yeah.
8 rounds?
8.
Is that it?
Yep.
8 rounds. Okay, 8 rounds.
I think he'll be okay.
Rounds, 10-ounce gloves. He'll be good.
Okay. And our last one, super chat. And kind of, this is a question about kind of the, we haven't really talked about them yet, but how do they come into this?
What's Netflix's long-term vision for combat sports? So as of right now, it's just Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. That's the only thing they got on the books. This will not be on Netflix. I heard there was like maybe talks about it, but didn't really materialize. So this is going to be on DAZN pay-per-view. So I don't know. It's kind of tough.
Yeah.
Do you think, Niergrick, that this is just Paul Tyson is a litmus test? Because you got 2 big ass names there, and whether people want to watch this fight or not, or they feel a certain way about Mike being a little bit older and dealing with some health issues over the years, these are 2 very popular names, and I don't care who you are and how much you complain about it. Come November 15th, if you're home, you're watching that fight. You're putting on Netflix and you're watching that fight. So is that the litmus test for all of this, or is this sort of the standard, the bar, like Jake Paul, Mike Tyson type fights with that kind of name value, or we're not doing anything?
Yeah, I think it is a litmus test. I don't think the question is, what's Netflix long-term vision for combat sports? I don't think Netflix has a long-term vision for combat sports yet. I think they are using Mike Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul as a barometer for what that audience looks like. If you know anything about Netflix, you know that the most important thing to them is the data, right? The way they run their business is based on having more data about your watching habits than others, right? They have you in the tent and you're subscribed to their platform and they know what you're watching, for how long, when, and what tiles. They're customizing tiles based on your habits. They know what you want, what visually is going to appeal to you. And so they are going to have a large amount of data after the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight on these fight fans. They're going to know how they cross over. If they were already Netflix subscribers, which I imagine most people will be because so many people have Netflix, what other programs were they already watching on Netflix? Now that we know that they are willing to watch these combat sports. And they're going to use all that data and they're going to figure out if there's a long-term play here in combat sports. The UFC's rights are coming up for renewal very shortly.
Ding, ding, ding,
They've
ding.
already come into business with WWE. They already have long-term global plans for WWE. And so they are going to be inundated with a lot of data based on the fight that happens. And they're going to be able to see, is this going to be an investment that we're going to be willing to make, or at least have the semblance of that picture and the beginnings of that picture of, might it be an opportunity for them? So I don't think they have a long-term vision yet. I think they have some assumptions that they've made, but they want to see them in practice, and they're going to get a really good look at what the profile of a fight fan looks like and how they interact with Netflix already come Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. So yeah, I don't think there's a vision yet. I think they will form that vision based on what those data points look like and what the tune in for that looks like. And it's why they're not trying Jake Paul versus Mike Perry. They are trying Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, and they're holding out for that, right? They could have potentially had an opportunity. I'm sure MVP tried to say, hey, let's just do this Mike Perry fight and let's kick off this Netflix relationship. But they are looking for a specific thing, and they're trying to see what that looks like. And so I think we will know much more what their vision is for it after that. If they all of a sudden, if you start reading Sports Business Journal and all of a sudden it says Netflix is a potential bidder in the UFC's rights, you got a real clear indication on what they think about combat sports right then and there. If they're not, then you have another indication of what their view toward combat sports was. So TBD, but I think this will be a test for them. I don't think they're ready to jump both feet in yet.
Yeah, I'm really curious too about, with Netflix's general, are they happy of this? Because if Jake loses, or do they still want to do? I mean, does it have the same appeal to Netflix if Jake loses badly? I don't know. I would just like, there's so much to me. Yeah, sorry.
My assumption, without having any intimate knowledge, without having had any conversation with them or Netflix or anybody, is yes, they would still be interested in that fight for the same reasons they're still interested in the fight, even though Mike Tyson is at a worsened position, right? Mike Tyson now in November is somebody who is publicly been aired out as being older and dealing with ailments that are preventing him from being in his peak physical form. And they're still saying, we want to do this fight against Jake Paul. To me, that is an indicator that they like this pairing. They want to continue with this no matter what the outcomes are, no matter what the circumstances are. And they just want to combine two of the bigger names that you can come up with in, I was going to say combat sports, but really in the world, right? These are two celebrities. I consider Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson much more of a celebrity fight than I consider it a combat sports event. And so, it'd be the same as if you were like, yeah, we're going to have Drake and Kendrick Lamar box. Like, you are talking about a global kind of event. You're talking about a massive thing. And so I think they care about the pairing. I don't think they particularly care if Mike Perry wins or loses against Jake Paul.
Yep.
It's kind of, okay. No, just so many fascinating questions. Yeah.
If Perry wins, like, it might actually make the Tyson fight more appealing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the problem people have with the fight is like, oh, Jake's fighting a 57-year-old and Jake Paul might kill Mike Tyson in the ring. But if Mike Perry goes in and kind of softens him up a little bit and knocks him out or beats him or finishes him or just kind of batters him around for 8 rounds, maybe they'll be like, maybe Mike can get him. at 57, 58 years old. So maybe it makes it a little more interesting for them. I don't know.
Yeah. I think for the hardcore fans, if Paul has a competitive fight against Perry, there will be more interest in the Tyson Paul fight because of that. But I think all the moms, all the casuals that were there just for Mike Tyson, no matter what happens with the Perry fight, they will just not hear about it. It just won't be on their radar. I think that's,
They have no clue who Tommy Fury is, I promise you, and the fact that Jake Paul lost to him. They've never heard of Tommy Fury. Maybe they watch Love Island, but most of them have not heard of Tommy Fury, or at least don't know he boxes. They just know him as somebody from Love Island. He's just not subject to wins and losses. Like, Jake Paul doesn't exist for like having a pristine boxing record. And so he'll still be a star.
Got Nate Diaz next. He lost and then got the biggest fight of his career. He got the biggest. He got freaking Nate Diaz. That was huge. That was the biggest one. Yeah. So I agree with New York Rick. All right, hit the music. More on this topic on Thursday. BTL will weigh in. Very excited to hear Jed Meshu's take on all of this. Also, a lot of other news. Israel Adesanya is back. He's going to challenge Dricus du Plessis at UFC 305. Shout out to Izzy for announcing his own fight. Doing it before the UFC did. You could tell Data wasn't too thrilled about that. And, of course, most important on this Tuesday, congratulations to the Boston Celtics winning banner number 18. Let's go.
18 of them. Wow.
18.
Wow.
18 of them.
Wow, that's very
the
impressive.
second longest drought of no championships in Boston since 1960 has come to an end at, I believe it's 1,962 days. So it feels good to be on top again, ladies and gentlemen. The City of Champions rules again. But yeah, I'll celebrate that today. We'll talk more MMA and combat sports throughout the week. For New York Rick, for Casey, I am Mike Keck. Thank you for watching. We'll see you later.